democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President-elect Barack Obama is moving swiftly to fill his administration and form his response to the economic crisis. Obama is expected to soon choose his Treasury Secretary, and the two names reportedly at the top of the list are Timothy Geithner, the president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank, and Lawrence Summers, who held the post during the Clinton administration. In one of his first orders of public business since the election, Obama's convened an economic advisory board to meet today in Chicago. The group includes billionaire investor Warren Buffett, former presidential cabinet officials and executives from various corporations, including Xerox, Time Warner, Google, and the Hyatt Hotel Company. This comes as more signs emerge that the nation will be facing a prolonged recession. The Labor Department reported Thursday the number of people receiving unemployment benefits has jumped to 3.8 million, the highest level since 1983. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 has lost 10% in the last 2 days, its worst two-day decline since 1987. On Monday, Obama is scheduled to meet with President Bush to discuss the global economic crisis and the war in Iraq. Obama's declined to attend the president's Global Economic Summit meeting on November 15th. The New York Times reports the Obama camp is feeling pressure from the Bush administration, specifically from Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, to, quote, co-own the bailout program, which remains unpopular among voters. The Treasury has reserved office space so far unused for Obama representatives, and Paulson's reportedly sought Obama's advice into the choice of a permanent director of the bailout program. To talk more about the state of the economy and the economic policies of Barack Obama, we're joined by two guests. Robert Kuttner is the author of the new book, Obama's Challenge, America's Economic Crisis and the Power of a Transformative Presidency. He's also the co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect magazine. Arun Gupta joins us here in New York. He's a reporter and editor at the Independent newspaper in New York. His latest article is called Now That the Election's Over, the Fight for Economic Justice Begins. In September, he organized a protest on Wall Street opposing the bailout. Bob Kuttner, let's begin with you. You begin your book, Obama's Challenge, by saying that Obama has the potential to be a transformative, progressive president. By that, you write, I mean, a president who profoundly alters American politics and the role of government in American life. Can you talk about how he can fulfill this potential?
You know, Amy, a crisis is also an opportunity, and the crash on Wall Street was also the crash of right-wing ideology, the ideology that claimed that markets could do nothing bad and governments could do nothing good. We're going to have reality making the most compelling case for activist government since the New Deal. The question is whether Obama seizes the moment. He will either be Roosevelt or he will be Hoover. There's no middle ground. We need the most expansive use of government. We need Obama's ability to teach, to be wielded in service of a massive recovery program that I think has four parts. First of all, do the financial rescue right, not just to throw money at Wall Street, but to get the credit system functioning again. Second, put a floor under housing prices so that the collapse doesn't continue. Third, re-regulate banks. And fourth, spend a lot of public money to rebuild infrastructure, do green energy, turn bad jobs into good jobs, put money back into people's pockets. The concern I have is the names you hear floated about are Clintonistas, they're economic centrists. And my bet is that Obama is smart enough that he does not want to fail, and that events will force him to be sufficiently bold, but he has very little time to get this right.
All right, let's talk, Robert Kuttner, about some of the names being bandied about, for example, to be Treasury Secretary. Larry Summers, former president of Harvard, former Treasury Secretary under President Clinton. What does he represent?
Well, I mean, I'm speaking candidly here. He would be my last choice. He's a protege of Bob Rubin. When he was at Treasury, he was part of the group that promoted greater deregulation, the same deregulation that brought this collapse. He's not famous for being a respectful listener. He had a disastrous experience as president of Harvard. And in the conversations within the Obama camp and between the Obama camp and the Democratic leadership, Summers has been a force for the idea of not spending too much money on a stimulus, not spending too much money on a permanent recovery program, fiscal caution, not putting too much pressure on the banks to resume lending. it would be both the wrong signal and the wrong policy. The other name you hear, Tim Geithner, who's the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, he'd be somewhat better. In the negotiations about rescues for Wall Street banks, he has been a somewhat more forceful advocate of stronger regulation. The best one, I hope she's still under consideration, would be Sheila Bair, head of the FDIC. She's been the toughest regulator of the batch. She happens to be nominally at least a Republican as well as a woman. That would be a very classy appointment, but I fear it may not happen.
Arun Gupta.
Well, you know, with Democrats like these, who needs Republicans? Larry Summer recently wrote an editorial in the Financial Times where he said we must address entitlements. And of course, when you hear a statement like that, that doesn't mean that we need to have better Social Security payments or more Medicare. What it's code words for cutting entitlements. One that, of course, would be disastrous in a recession. But he represents this Washington consensus, both domestically and globally, that says we need to cut social welfare programs while bailing out the banks, the rich. Geithner, I think, yeah, maybe he would be marginally better, but if you look at the deal he initially did with Bear Stearns and J.P. Morgan, there are a lot of critics of that who say he was had. He was negotiating with Jamie Dimon, who sits on the board of the New York Federal Reserve Bank, along with Geithner, and Geithner is considered to have been hoodwinked in that deal because the New York Federal Reserve ended up mainly getting worthless subprime mortgage securities in return as collateral for the nearly $30 billion it put up. It's already recorded a paper loss of $2.7 billion, and he outsourced the management of the collateral to BlackRock. Now, it's probably just a coincidence that also as part of the one of Geithner's main advisors is John Thain, who was CEO of Merrill Lynch before it was swallowed up by Bank of America. And it's probably just a coincidence that Merrill Lynch owns a 49% stake in BlackRock. And what this really represents is, you know, the old boy network. The Federal Reserve banks are in many ways just Wall Street clubs. And so I think Geithner himself would not be that good of an appointment. You know, I think Sheila Bair would be a better appointment, but why not think different? If we want to have a Clintonista, how about Robert Reich? You know, why not put someone who is for workers in charge of the Treasury instead of leaving it in charge of Wall Street?
We're talking to Arun Gupta, the reporter and editor of the Independent newspaper. You protested on Wall Street against the bailout. Hundreds of people came out for that. How do you think President Obama can deal with this bailout that he did vote for? Now, Henry Paulson making room for his camp to be there to participate. Obama saying that he will not participate in President Bush's November 15th economic summit.
Well, I think it was really unfortunate that Obama supported the bailout. I think one of the things to understand about Obama, there is the potential there for it to be a transformative presidency if it comes from below. He himself is not going to be a transformative president. He's ultimately a conservative. He's very conservative on economic issues, foreign policy, yet given the extreme rule of the Republicans over the last year, that conservatism became changed compared to what the radical right-wing positions of the Republicans. The bailout itself, I think you could argue, has been a complete failure. While the rest of the country was focused on the election, what's been going on is that the Treasury has been allowing the banks to essentially self-regulate. They're not putting any demands over how this money should be used to get the credit markets going. So what they're going to be using it for, they're going to be paying out these massive dividends still. They're going to be using it to acquire weaker rivals. They're going to sit on it. And because they got it at such favorable terms, they're going to use it to pay off higher interest debts. In fact, there is so little indication that the banks are going to be using the capital to get the credit markets going again. The Federal Reserve has set up what's called special purpose vehicles. It's set up 3 of them. What it's essentially doing is it's guaranteeing over $2 trillion in corporate debt. The Federal Reserve has become the day-to-day backer of corporate activity. It's the one that's getting the corporate liquidity going again. So what that means is the bailout is a total failure in terms of this injection of capital into the banks, that it's not doing what it's supposed to, and they're basically just taking the money and running.
Bob Kuttner, do you agree with this?
I do agree with this. I'm a shade more optimistic for the reason that in desperate times, ideas that are usually dismissed as impossibly